Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. We're going to do another quick talk. I say another quick talk. We're going to attempt to do a quick talk on a few things. Before we get started, consider Patreon to support the channel. There's $3, $5, $10, or $3, $5, $10, $20 tiers, monthly contributions. You can do that if you'd like. There's also my ebook, Cheap Houses: How I Find and Buy Inexpensive Real Estate. Just a quick sort of crash course ebook on how to find cheap houses and how to make those deals happen. I think it's a fun read, even if it's not something you want to do. It's $4.99 on Amazon or directly through my website as a PDF, which you can read on anything. You can even print it if you like. The links will be in the description below and probably pinned in the first comment. The topic of today's video is rental versus flipping, whether to keep a house as a rental or go ahead and flip it and make the quick cash. Before we get started, we're going to address a comment someone left on the previous video when I was talking about the idea of paying off a mortgage and then that maybe making someone not be so ambitious. But in my mind, it didn't have that issue, so it didn't bother me to move forward doing it. And this comment kind of introduces another thing to consider, which is something I did consider, but went the route that I chose for the security aspects of it. And this person wrote, if not paying down a mortgage means spending the money on whatever else that isn't deeply important to you, pay off the mortgage. If the mortgage is at a low rate, such as 3 or 4%, and there's the discipline to invest the money in an index or equivalent mutual fund, then consider investing. But make sure the investment is a low-fee fund or ETF. Vanguard is a nice option in this regard. The rationale is that the investment returns will significantly outpace the mortgage interest in this situation, at least over a 5+ year period. So net worth typically grows faster than under this strategy. 100% correct. It's just not the choice that I made. And what this person is saying is, so you got some low interest rate mortgage, instead of paying that off, find something that you can invest your money in that the returns are greater than your interest rate on the mortgage, and you'll make money versus just simply saving the money from not paying that continued interest on the mortgage. And you can Google for more information on that topic. So my reason is there's just this sort of insurance and security in paying off the mortgage that I don't have to be concerned about this main residence that me and my family live in. It's tied to the rest of this family land. So it's me just trying to reduce the risk, and getting rid of a mortgage does that. It also frees up more money for me to do on other things. I don't have to come up with the money every month. So there's a calming effect to it. Just a personal choice of why I did it. Topic of the video, rental versus flipping. First thing I wrote in my notes is I don't know the full answer. I think to even say that is not being modest enough. I do not know an answer that I could say even partially. I mean, well, of course it partially addresses something. This is only my thoughts on it. Don't take my advice. Me holding places as rentals and not selling them, it's just a personal choice. It feels good to me to kind of collect up these houses, have them available to sell at any moment, giving them to my kids, all that type of stuff. But I've got some of this stuff in my notes and we'll address them one at a time. I like the long-term income. Even if I was buying and selling some stuff, I want income, monthly, regular income that comes in. So that is what these rentals give me. If I was so passive income from real estate versus if you're flipping, it's a job. You constantly have to work it. And if you stop doing it, you stop making money. You have to buy a house, renovate a house, sell a house, then repeat that if you want to keep doing it as a flipper. Of course, flipping houses is a great way to get a lot of money. It's also a good way to fund rental properties because you're in the game of buying places. Well, some of these places you may buy them and go, this is what I'm going to hold. This is what I'm going to sell. And of course, that's the question of this comment that someone wrote. But for me, I'm specifically looking for very inexpensive places that I think would be good rentals. So I'm kind of approaching it from that to start with. I'm not just buying a good deal and then going, which way should I go on this one? Because I want long-term income. The taxes are different on it. And again, I view it as investing. I don't view flipping as investing. Of course, you're like short-term investing your money and then you get your money back. But to me, it's income. Um, uh, Appreciation. When you hold the property, it's going to appreciate. I've got places that are worth, 10 times what I have in them. And with short-term flipping of properties, that's probably not going to happen. I don't know what the averages amount that people make flipping houses. It's just going to vary so widely. Uh, so I don't know, but I like the appreciation of it. I don't plan on selling some of these properties ever. So that's, you can imagine how much they could be worth. And then that also will introduce the idea of you could take loans out against things if you wanted to. That's not what I've done and not considering doing at the moment, but that option exists. I wrote in my notes, generational wealth. So all the stuff that I'm doing is to kind of build up income and then build up sort of wealth. And then one day this is going to be, passed on to my children. Hopefully it's a thing that they're interested in that we can kind of do together. And when I say children, I'm not talking about giving a 5-year-old a house, but I'm talking about, because some people say, well, you're going to spoil your children. Well, by the time they get this stuff, they could be 40, 50 some years old. And if they're spoiled at that time, it's because I've done something wrong long ago. So if I raise them right and things go well, and they've been involved and they appreciate what I've been doing and have seen it, and by the time this stuff gets turned over to them, whether I'm alive or not, they should already be mature enough, have financial wisdom. They're probably kids of their own. And so that will sway their thinking because they saw how I was thinking, farther ahead than myself and farther ahead than them. Like I would love it if all this stuff built up into something where way down the family line, people were still benefiting from it. Even if it's not because they still own the $12,000 house, but just because that work that went into it and the sort of culture that you create in doing so kind of, lasts on throughout generations. Being debt-free. I can do the rental stuff that I do debt-free. If I did flipping on short terms, I'd have to go through some other methods that would probably involve me doing debt, even if it's short term, or partnering with somebody. The prices I pay. I'm buying the houses so cheap, in my mind, I'm like, why not keep them? Of course, someone else would say, you got it for so cheap, that means you're going to make more money on it. But you'll be taxed more money on it. So I like the passive income tax versus if you're capital gains tax. And sorry if I get any of the specific details wrong on this. Again, I'm just kind of giving you my take on it. And I'm not an expert in what I am doing, much less the side that I'm not focusing on. So my take on the positives and the pros of flipping, you're in and out of it, and it's less liability. This could be the legal liability of holding rental property, the financial liability of having rental property, the ongoing costs of it, and then there's the time. Whether you fix a place up to be rented or fix a place up to be sold, it might not be that much different time there, but then there's the ongoing time of a rental property, even if you're using a property manager. And all of this is just less if you're just in and out of it through flipping. Fast growth. I think that once you start flipping places and you've got a program, you could probably really roll through a lot of them, especially once you've built your money up. You can buy things. I am making income from what I'm doing, not big, huge hits of money. So I'm thinking of the money I make off this stuff is I put it back into other rentals, helping with the next renovation, paying bills, just normal family costs, going to the grocery store. So I think of my income as that versus I think that some people, if you were flipping houses, you may get that temptation to, buy a boat, or a four-wheeler or a motorcycle, whatever thing it is that you would want. So, so for me, thinking of it as building up income to replace a job type income, I don't know. It keeps me in control. Now, if I was making tens of thousands of dollars a month income, I might think about it differently. I might buy some stuff. I don't know. I'm not in that position. But I have had times where my income has gone up and then come down, and regardless, my thinking about money was about the same. And if anything, I think when having my income dip always shows me, I always learn something from that, which I always appreciated. I would much rather my income stay high, but when it does dip, it kind of shows you that you don't need to spend as much money in certain areas. I think it shows you how much excess spending you do when you do have money. It's so easy to spend that little bit of extra money all over the place, which equals a big amount of money long term. And I've had a lot of people, express that to me, where they've had their ups and downs and then go, when I was making X amount of money, I don't even know where I was spending it. I've heard plenty of people say that. So that's really it. That's all my thoughts on that. There's a lot more to it, but that's the way I personally think of it. And most all of this is based on sort of my comfort level and what just makes sense to me. Regardless of what it is that I buy, whether I think it's a good value or not, real estate and not, I just feel like holding on to stuff. I'm not somebody who looks at everything of oh, I could sell that for X amount of money. I'm just much more, I think, long-term income focused than how much could I sell it for on eBay. Some people are like that, everything. They're how much would that sell for on eBay? I can imagine that guy being somebody who would lean towards flipping. But for me, it's I'm the one that wants to take the thing and set it on a shelf. So that's sort of the way I think with my real estate investing is I'm just putting my money in a house, and then I just kind of hold on to that house. So just makes sense for me, and it makes me feel good. And I think, again, the biggest reason is flipping houses is just another job. I don't even view it as investing. For me, investing is something that creates passive income. Of course, it's not totally limited to it in the way that I'm saying it, but that's what feels good to me, and that's how I sort of practice it myself. So that is it. Again, the links for those things I mentioned, the ebook and the Patreon, will be in the link comments below. And please continue to give me your thoughts. And I said to someone in the comments that I hope the videos are valuable, but what I know is going to be valuable is the response that people have in the comments below the videos, because I could be saying anything and people are going to be unsure of what I'm motivated by, just making a cool video that gets a bunch of people to watch it and they think you're making a bunch of money from it. But people leaving comments don't have a lot of skin in the game, and they can sort of write their situation, what they feel about the videos, and then people can kind of oh, I can relate to what this guy is saying. And the dream of anybody doing these types of videos is that there'd be this cool conversation occurring, and then I can then respond to those comments, and it'd be more of a back and forth than me just talking at my phone sitting in a barn. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.